3 years of marriage, Ethan has missed 3 years of appointments. Today is my last appointment with him, but he still missed it. I called him one last time without giving up. On the other end of the phone, his voice fluctuated. "Sister, I have something else to do, wait for me." Then, there was a faint but very clear voice of coquettishness. The phone was hung up, and on the screen, the Buddhist in the Beijing circle who had been waiting for me just sent the 99th marriage proposal. This time, I wrote him a reply. "Hot pot, meat, come to eat?" When Lucian came in, the steaming hot pot restaurant seemed to have turned into mist. It is said that baldness tests appearance, but after he shaved his hair, his originally overly good-looking appearance became even more eye-catching. "Sister, monks should not eat meat." He sat down in front of me, and his snow-white monk robe made him look cool and elegant. The next moment, his slender fingers used chopsticks to pick up the red and spicy meat slices and put them in his mouth. The thin lips were stained with chili oil, and they were rosy and kissable. "Isn't it not suitable to eat meat?" My eyes lingered on his lips for a moment. He deliberately licked the corner of his lips. "Originally, it is not suitable to eat meat, but when I see you, I want to return to the secular world." I curled the corner of my lips. After not seeing each other for a few years, he still knows what I like. Eat. I felt better and mixed the sauce for him personally. During the meal, I checked my phone several times. Every time Ethan's chat box was silent. In fact, this hot pot was decided by me to celebrate my 3rd wedding anniversary with Ethan. But he was accompanying his childhood sweetheart. Looking at the white pot with clear soup and water in the shabu-shabu pot, I suddenly felt that the 3 years of marriage were really blocked and uncomfortable, just like this hot pot. I took care of him not to eat spicy food, so I ordered the shabu-shabu pot, but he was afraid of trouble for me, so he didn't come to eat directly. The empty half of the pot bottom looked very annoying. After finishing the meal, Lucian wiped his mouth and returned to his cold and aloof appearance. He twisted the Buddhist beads in his hand, lowered his eyebrows, and a dark red swept through his eyes. "Sister, you can marry others, why can't you marry me?" I raised my eyebrows and looked at Lucian. I didn't expect him to be so wild. However, it's not impossible to marry him. As I was thinking, the phone screen lit up. Looking at the words "something sent by Ethan" on the screen, the corners of my lips curled up. Why not? "Now come with me to get the certificate." "Then your marriage certificate with Ethan." "Get the divorce certificate first." I wiped my mouth gracefully and stood up. Since Ethan doesn't want the face I gave him, I don't have to worry about it. In the Civil Affairs Bureau, I completed the divorce and marriage procedures together. I agreed with Lucian to pick me up at a time, and then went back to the villa to pack up. When I opened the door, Ethan was playing with his childhood sweetheart on the piano bench. His childhood sweetheart was holding my piano, which was worth tens of millions of yuan. Every time they moved, they made chaotic and intense piano sounds. The sound of me pushing the door seemed to scare them. Ethan pushed Jessica away violently. He tried to stay calm, but everything on the scene explained everything. "Sister, don't be angry. Brother Wu is just teaching me to play the piano." Jessica held back her skirt aggrievedly. "But, is this just teaching to play the piano?" I looked at them coldly, nodded slightly as a greeting, and entered the room. Outside the door, ambiguous sounds came one after another. "She is just aloof. After being married for so many years, you can't even touch me. No one likes such a woman. Unlike you, you have a soft waist and long legs. You are just a little goblin." Ethan's complaints became louder and louder, deliberately letting me hear. But he didn't know. I was just cold to him. Because he was too dirty. In order to protect important documents, my parents burned the entire Hanna family to death. Only I was protected in the country and escaped. In the huge Hanna family, I was the only orphan left in just one night. With the identity of a martyr's family, many people came to adopt me. But they all had calculations in their eyes. Only Ethan. He looked obedient and chubby at that time, and ran to me like a puppy wagging its tail. "Grandpa, let's adopt my sister, okay?" I might have done it. "Come to my house, I'll be your slave, yes. The kind of eldest slave." I couldn't help laughing. I've only heard of the eldest son, but this is the first time I've heard of the eldest servant. But compared to those adults who are full of calculations, and my peers who are hostile to me, the Ethan family is undoubtedly the best choice. I chose the Ethan family, and Ethan really does what he says. From childhood to adulthood, my words are more effective than anyone else's to him. Thinking about those years, he was also clean. Every day he followed me and kept calling me sister. So much so that when Ethan's grandfather was dying, he begged me to marry Ethan. He thought Ethan was too simple and couldn't keep the Ethan family, and wanted me to look at the relationship over the years and stay in the Ethan family for another 3 years. I agreed without hesitation. But I didn't expect that Ethan would change after that day. He started to date different girls and dangled in front of me. He even brought each one to me and called me sister. At first I thought he was resisting marriage and tried to communicate with him. I also suggested that we could maintain a simple brother-sister relationship. But he insisted on marrying me. Later I found out that he was just a playboy. In the past 2 years, he even threatened me with divorce. Fortunately, I have repaid the kindness of Ethan's family, and there is nothing to miss. The intercourse outside stopped abruptly. But a moment later, Ethan suddenly rushed in, his face full of anger. "Hannah, what did you say to my mother? Why did she suddenly call and ask me if I messed with Seven? Can't you tell me directly if you have something to say? Is it fun to complain to your parents? You were like this before, and you are still like this now," he roared. My eyes slid down and turned away. "Put on your clothes before talking, don't dirty my eyes." After a short silence, Ethan jumped up and down as if he had collapsed. "You are always like this. My sister is always cold. Can't you smile at me a little and say you love me once?" I looked at him silently. Isn't it love that I agreed to marry him? "Sister, I know you have a good relationship with Ethan's grandfather, but you can't rely on the old man who passed away. You are so willful. Brother Wu is so good, but you don't know how to cherish him." Jessica came in at some point and stood by the door with grievance. "Sister, there are not many mistresses in the upper class? Brother Wu is good enough, don't make things difficult for him." Listen, I am good enough, it's not that I don't deserve you. Jessica also grew up with us. If you were half as sensible as her, it would be great. Are you a child? You complained to your parents when you had a fight and asked my mother to call me. Teach me a lesson. Ethan seemed to be straightened by Jessica's back, and his voice became louder and louder. I stood up. His voice stopped abruptly, and the fear engraved in his memory made him timidly call sister. I sneered, "Ethan, I'm not complaining or negotiating, I'm notifying." He reacted, as if he was ashamed of the embarrassment just now, and began to sneer like me. Notify? What qualifications does an orphan have to notify the Ethan family? If it weren't for Grandpa, you wouldn't be worthy of the Ethan family. You should beg me to love you, why are you always so high and mighty? If Grandpa hadn't insisted on me marrying you, I would never be with you. Hannah, the 3-year period is up, I want to divorce you. He became more and more excited as he spoke, walked to the head of the bed in 2 steps, pulled out the divorce agreement and threw it in front of me. I was too lazy to pay attention to him, the marriage had been divorced long ago, and the divorce agreement he threw over was just waste paper. As for him, I could see that he didn't want to solve anything at all, he just wanted to solve his emotions. I didn't have time to waste with him, playing this childish game of you love me, I don't love you. After packing up my things, I took the offerings and went out. In the Ethan family cemetery. I arranged the offerings and looked at the portrait of Ethan's grandfather, sighing with some emotion. Grandpa, I have done what you asked me to do. I have repaid your kindness in raising me. Your grandson will worry about it yourself in the future. Don't ask for favors in secret. I am leaving. Even if my father comes to me in my dreams, I will not help. Before I finished speaking, a familiar voice suddenly sounded behind me. Are you leaving Ethan's family? I turned around and Ethan was standing under a tree not far from me. The shade of the tree blocked the streetlights, and I couldn't see his expression. Well, aren't you going to divorce me too? From now on, we will go our separate ways and be free. I replied calmly. Originally, that hot pot was the divorce dinner I wanted to have with him. He didn't want to come, so I could only go to Ethan's family to get the household registration and go to the divorce agreement. But I didn't expect Ethan's mother to call him. Under the shade of the tree, Ethan stood still. I turned around and swept the dust for Grandpa Ethan. We have been grandfather and grandson for more than 10 years, so we are filial. Why? What qualifications do you have to sweep my grandfather's grave? Ethan suddenly rushed up and hugged my waist. The sudden change made me struggle regardless of anything. Ethan. Are you crazy? I hit him desperately. But he seemed to be unaware of the pain and wanted to kiss me like crazy. Why? Why can't you tell me if you have something to say? I know everything about the deal you made with my grandfather 3 years ago and I heard everything. I love you so much but you only married me because of the Ethan family. I have loved you for so many years but you don't love me at all. You don't love me, you don't love me. His eyes were bloodshot, and he was as crazy as a beast. Sister, since you don't love me and only love the Ethan family, then you can only be qualified to stand here if you give birth to a child from the Ethan family. He tore my clothes frantically. Ethan, you're crazy, let me go. I kept blocking him and struggling. Crazy? Yes, I am crazy. You have been despising me for so many years. I have been looking for so many women, short, fat, thin, so many, but you refuse to look at me. Today I want to take you in front of Grandpa. I want you and Grandpa to regret it. Jessica, who was standing next to me, looked at my embarrassed appearance with a proud look in her eyes. She stroked her belly and looked at me with contempt. Sister, don't resist. Be good. I already have a child from the Ethan family in my belly. When you really become Brother Wu's person, I will bother you to take care of me during the confinement period. Pervert. This pair of perverts. Ethan, stop it. I shouted Ethan's name, trying to scare him. But my screaming and struggling seemed to make him more excited. Sister, you have never been so excited about me since you were a child. Tell me, are you a pervert? You can only be interested in the cemetery? Speak. Answer me, say you are. Ethan pinched my mouth, wishing to squeeze the word yes out of my mouth. Suddenly, a huge light illuminated our surroundings as bright as day. A row of cars stopped not far from the cemetery. Lucian rushed over, knocked Ethan down with a punch, took off his outer cover and covered me with it, and protected me in his arms. Ethan. Are you crazy? Hannah is the only daughter of the Hannah family in Beijing. How dare you touch her? Ethan was like a madman. He tried to rush over, but was stopped by the bodyguards brought by Lucian. The Hannah family has been gone for a long time. How can there be an only daughter? She is the young lady of my Ethan family, my wife. You can do whatever you want. Looking at his crazy look, I took the documents from Lucian, walked in front of him, and smashed them on his head. Look carefully, the people of the Hannah family are gone, but the Hannah family has always been there. The Hannah family did die that year, but because of the meritorious service in protecting the documents, the country took action to protect the Hannah family. Before I came of age, the company had always been run by my father's confidants. And on the day I came of age, the company had been transferred to my hands. That's why Grandpa Ethan asked me to stay. He knew that the Ethan family was not doing well at that time. He asked me to stay for 3 years to help the Ethan family. Ethan, do you know why I agreed? Because I happen to like you. But I didn't expect you to be so mean and willing to eat anything. The truth that I heard a little bit back then was gradually revealed to Ethan. For so many years, it was not just me, an orphan, who relied on the Ethan family to survive. It was the entire Ethan family that relied on the martyr title of my Hannah family to barely survive. Sister, sister. Ethan murmured, as if he couldn't believe the facts in front of him. He looked at my still slightly raised chin and my no longer gentle eyes, and then he realized how wrong he was. Sister, listen to my explanation, I can explain. I turned around and got into Lucian's car. I didn't want to listen to any of his explanations. Are you really not going to give him another chance? In the car, Lucian cautiously tested me. He had changed back into a suit, with beads wrapped around his wrists. Unlike his previous coldness, he was more abstinent at this time. I pulled his collar and pulled him in front of me. Do you want me to give him another chance? Lucian's breathing became obviously rapid. He stared at me and squeezed out 2 words from his thin lips after a while, no. Sister, do you know how much I miss you these years? His voice became more and more hoarse. With the force I pulled him over, he blocked me in the corner, getting closer and closer until our skin touched. The driver raised the baffle at the right time. The air in the car seemed to become thin in an instant. He put his arms around my waist, trembling all over. Sister, I want to kiss you, okay? The voice that was so cold and repellent just now trembled pitifully and cutely. Lucian. I called his name softly, held the back of his head, and kissed him fiercely. He stiffened for a moment, as if some restraint had been torn off, and he held me tightly in his arms, wishing to take all my oxygen. The phone rang suddenly. That ringtone was specially set by me for Ethan. He was still young at that time, and if I didn't set it for him, he would roll on the ground and splash. Lucian also knew it. He sat up and took the phone out of my clothes. His voice was low and seductive. Sister, let's have some fun. As the answer button was pressed, Ethan's voice came from the receiver. Why don't you answer my call? What are you doing with Lucian? You have never ignored my call before. His voice became more and more aggrieved. But I really couldn't answer. Lucian kissed fiercely and he put the phone far away, but kept teasing me. The passionate panting sound came along the phone line. Ethan paused for a moment and then there was the sound of tables and chairs. What are you doing? Sister. Hannah. Are you so happy to be with him? You don't even move towards me. His roar of collapse became the background music of our passion. Looking at Lucian's obedient and wild appearance, I was happy to indulge him. On the other side of the phone, Ethan became even crazier. He cursed out all the words he could think of in his life. In the end, it even turned into begging. And Lucian kissed my neck devoutly but always lingered on the collarbone. Sister, give it to me, okay? I can't stand his wild and obedient appearance, but if I kiss him, I will suffocate. I pushed him away and hooked my hand. Give me the phone. Lucian glared at the phone in annoyance but handed it to me obediently. On the other end of the phone, Ethan had changed from cursing to questioning with grievance. Why do you let him touch you, but not me? I am your legal husband. Ethan, I thought you knew me after all these years. I like clean things, but you are dirty. I didn't listen to his hysteria and hung up the phone. Lucian's throat slid up and down, and he tried his best to move his eyes away from me. Why don't you move? I looked at Lucian with a smile. If it was Ethan, he would definitely rush over and continue the action just now the moment the phone was hung up. But Lucian just turned his eyes back to look at me. His eyes were so hot, but he forbearing and restraining. Sister, I feel like I can't control myself, but I want to save the best things for the best day. I have cherished you for so many years and suddenly I meet you, and I always feel a little unreal. Hannah, I like you, and I'd like to keep this love going until the end of time. He called me by my full name for the first time. He said these words very slowly. It seemed that he had thought about every word several times in his mind and confirmed that he would not lie to me before he spoke it carefully. I looked at the sincerity in his eyes, and even though I had planned to spend the rest of my life with him, I couldn't help but be moved. Perhaps, I have made this man wait for me for too long. After that day, I changed my mobile phone number and all contact information and returned to my world as the eldest daughter of the Hannah family. Half a month later, Ethan suddenly posted countless photos of me on the internet, looking for his wife all over the internet. He stood in front of the camera and apologized to me. His already handsome face attracted the attention of countless people because of his pitiful appearance. Although I know he is a scumbag, the way he calls me sister really makes people feel soft-hearted. The whole internet at Ethan wife, your husband is out to sell his face to chase his wife. Tisk tsk, it would be great if I had a brother like this, even if we could share it. My temples throbbed as I watched the increasingly outrageous comments online. I knew what Ethan meant. He wanted me to feel bad and go back to comfort him. But there was no relationship between us the day he cheated. But his online apologies to me became more and more intense. He was getting thinner day by day. He also listed every girlfriend he had, and they all had my shadow. Sister, I know I was wrong, you can punish me however you want. I just want you to say you love me, I shouldn't have speculated about you like that. Can you come back and see me? I won't ask for so much anymore. He knelt in front of the camera, and every word he said caused a climax in the live broadcast room. Everyone was shouting, asking me to forgive him. Just when I was about to call him and ask him to stop showing off, the live broadcast room suddenly flashed. The screen was full of special effects of Hannah marrying Lucian. The official account of the Lucian family commented below, Ethan, calling someone else's wife is a bit inappropriate. The omnipotent netizens quickly found the marriage certificate photo released by the Lucian family official website. Everyone was exclaiming at the shocking reversal. Ethan went crazy. He stood up and roared at the camera, impossible. Absolutely not. Hannah is my wife, she is committing bigamy. He tried to take out the marriage certificate as evidence, but he couldn't find it. After all, after the marriage, these certificates were deposited with the Ethan family, but he forgot about it. He was like an angry lion in the live broadcast room, turning the whole villa into a mess. In the end, it was the netizens who reminded him that he could check the marital status on the official website. When the results came out, he sat on the ground as if his life was taken away. The 3 words divorced were particularly clear. At this time, he understood what I meant by the notice that day. After a long silence in the live broadcast room, Ethan kept his back to the camera, and he probably cried. I exited his live broadcast room and didn't look at his embarrassed appearance. Lucian, who was lying next to me, held up his phone to take credit. He approached me, took my hand, and placed it on his waist. Sister, I stayed in the gym for a long time yesterday. Do you want to see my results? My fingertips slowly slid across his waist, feeling his uncontrollable trembling, and my red lips curled up and slowly kissed him. 3 days later, I was blocked at the door of my house by Ethan. He was more paranoid than I thought. He actually asked someone to check my address, flew to Beijing overnight, stayed up all night, and squatted in front of my door. When he saw me, he stared at 2 dark circles under his eyes and looked extremely gloomy. Sister, didn't you say you loved me? Why don't you give me a chance? He looked at me and stood up, his tone full of stubbornness and complaints. I frowned and looked him up and down. Come in and talk. I opened the door. But he stood there motionless, just asking me over and over again why I didn't give him a chance. I stopped and looked at him calmly. What kind of opportunity do you want? Aren't the opportunities I've given you enough over the years? When he brought the first girl back, I told him that I like clean men. Later, he let the girl go. That night, I cooked a table full of dishes for him. The photo of him hugging a young model made the local headlines. I personally suppressed the news for him and gave him a chance to explain. I gave in step by step, but he kept pushing forward. He even started to throw the divorce agreement in front of me again and again. In the past 3 years, I rejected countless divorce agreements he handed me. If this is not an opportunity, then what is? Ethan didn't care. He ran to me with tears in his eyes. You didn't. I forced you to do all that. If you couldn't get a divorce, you would have left long ago. You didn't really give me a chance. He deliberately made his voice very soft, even dragging out the tail tone. I like his little puppy look the most. In the past, whenever he made me angry, he would ask for forgiveness like this. Looking at him, I sighed helplessly. If he hadn't cheated me with this look, I would never agree to marry him. Ethan, do you want me to coax you like when we were kids? The tears in his eyes were instantly withdrawn and turned into full of expectations. I raised my hand and slapped him in the face. The force was so strong that he turned his head and looked at me in disbelief. Ethan, are those women out there raising you too well? Have you forgotten what I was originally? I lowered my eyes, with a sharp look in my eyes, and all the helplessness I had once looked at him was gone. Childhood memories instantly poured out of Ethan's mind. Although I didn't give him an inch of sidelong glance, at this moment, he couldn't help but feel cold from the bottom of his heart. I beat him like this when he was a child. From childhood to adulthood, I have never coaxed him at all. At this moment, he realized how soft those divorce agreements that I rejected in the past 3 years were. A moment of panic flashed in his eyes. He almost subconsciously knelt down in front of me, hugged my legs and refused to leave. Sister, if you don't forgive me, I will always follow you and beg you for forgiveness. He said it very emotionally. I kicked him away and took a step back. Ethan, do you have to make up for the relationship between us? He crawled on his knees and took a step closer to me, his eyes full of regret. Sister, I love you. I don't know how to live without you. If Ethan leaves Hannah, there is only one possibility, that is, I die and the Ethan family is completely overthrown. Otherwise, even if my soul remains in the world, I will say I love you. My eyes are cold. Doesn't he remember how he treated me in the past 3 years in the Ethan family? Now he kneels in front of me again, trying to force me to submit with the attitude of a weak person. This dirty method makes the former Ethan gradually blurred in my memory. The only thing left is the shadow who constantly humiliated me in the past 3 years and even tortured me in front of Ethan's grandfather's grave. Ethan, then you can die. My voice is not fluctuating at all. Sister. Lucian appeared behind me and held my shoulders. He looked down at Ethan with a smile on his lips. Ethan, did you hear that? Sister said, let you die. Also, sister is mine now. Since your Ethan family wants to go bankrupt, then it's your wish. That day, Ethan was dragged away by bodyguards. He was still crying and howling all the way, saying that he knew he was wrong. Lucian's blow was faster than I thought. In less than 3 months, Ethan's family came to me for help. Ethan's mother held the photo of Ethan's grandfather and sat in front of me with tears. Hannah, I know our Ethan family has not done you any favors, but you have helped our Ethan family a lot. But can you see the face of the old man and spare the Ethan family a way out? I looked at the lifelike Ethan grandfather in the photo. I guess he didn't expect that after his death, it would come to this. Aunt, you can go back and watch the video in front of the old man's grave about Ethan's family. For the sake of our friendship over the years, I didn't want to pursue it. But Ethan said that only when the Ethan family went bankrupt could he let me go. And I didn't do it myself, which was the greatest respect for the Ethan family. When I finished speaking, Ethan's mother's face was pale. At the grave, Ethan forced me to monitor. I guess they already knew about it. She probably didn't expect that Ethan would chase me to Beijing and say such words to me. Ethan's mother left in despair. A few days later, I received a video from Ethan's family. Jessica was tied to the bed by them and forced to have an abortion. In the video, Jessica struggled hard and shouted that she wanted to see Ethan. Ethan's father walked into the video holding the phone. He looked gloomy and handed the phone to Jessica. Ethan's impatient voice came from the other end of the phone. "Dad, what do you want to tell me?" Hearing his voice, Jessica seemed to have found a life-saving straw. She held the phone with both hands and trembled as she said, "Brother Wu, I'm Jessica, please save me, they want to kill me, they want to kill me." She cried bitterly. But there was only a dead tone on the other end of the phone. Jessica stared at the hung-up call in a daze, then suddenly raised her head and forced a smile. "Brother Wu must have been deceived by you, it must be. Let me make another call. The one in my belly is the seed of your Ethan family. He said he loves me the most, he can't possibly not love me." As she said this, tears welled up in her eyes. No one around stopped her, even the camera was silently watching her dial. As the call was connected, she excitedly held the phone. "Brother Wu, I knew you wouldn't ignore me. Save me, please, save me quickly, I have your child in my womb. Didn't you say that you like my long legs and thin waist the most? That old woman can't satisfy you, after I give birth, I will play with you however you want, okay?" On the other end of the phone, Ethan's voice suddenly rose. "Who allowed you to say that to my sister?" Jessica was stunned. She dared to say that to me, wasn't it Ethan's indulgence? But she didn't have time to think about it. Looking at the approaching bodyguards, she could only keep begging Ethan. But Ethan's voice was cold and ruthless on the phone. "Don't give her anesthesia. Her current fate is entirely her own fault. If it weren't for her intention, my sister wouldn't have abandoned me." The phone was dead again. Jessica was completely desperate. She was tied to the operating table. She was forced to stay awake throughout the operation. She could only wail helplessly. She kept shouting, "I was wrong. I was wrong." I don't know if she really knew she was wrong, or regretted trusting the wrong person. I scrolled to the end of the video, and Ethan's father bowed deeply to the camera. "Hannah, Xiao Wu has already known that he was wrong. Please calm down and let Ethan's family go." I pressed the close button, not wanting to listen to their long speeches. I have already given them the solution. As long as Ethan doesn't see me again, I will stop. But they just have to rely on this method to get forgiveness. It seems that the Ethan family is the one being forced. Ding. The elevator door has opened. I put my phone away, not planning to care about the Ethan family anymore. Push open the door of the hotel. I actually heard a sound of water. Before I could step back, Ethan came out of the bathroom. He was only wrapped in a bath towel. His white muscles had been rubbed pink, and water droplets kept dripping down his skin. His black hair, soaked in water, stuck to his forehead, looking particularly pitiful. He knelt down in front of me and showed himself to me. "Sister, I know I was wrong. I really just love you too much and don't know how to express it. Can you give me another chance? I washed it clean, really, it's not dirty anymore." He looked up and looked at me eagerly. I looked at this scene in shock. I didn't expect him to appear in front of me again in this way. I quickly restrained my emotions. My eyes swept over him inch by inch until his whole body turned pink. Looking at me, the eyes changed from desire to expectation. He thought I was moved. Actually, I was just thinking. Why did the little boy who followed me and called me sister suddenly become so unbearable? "Ethan, from the day you cheated, you will always be dirty. Dirty, can't be washed clean." I retracted my gaze, no longer looked at him and turned away. The sound of high heels hitting the ground seemed to take away all his anger. He stared at my back blankly, as if he had thousands of words to say, but in the end he called me hoarsely. "Sister, in your eyes, is only Lucian considered clean?" I stopped and squinted slightly. He stood up eagerly. "As long as you tell me, I will never bother you again. Lucian has only been in contact with me since he was a child. For other women, he has always handled the degree very well. So it is indeed clean." I nodded. Ethan was silent for a long time. He stood up and whispered softly, I know. From now on, I won't bother you anymore. That day, he looked back every step. The night outside the window seemed to be his background, swaying the shadows in his heart for him. Lucian brushed past him, walked from the night to the light, and smiled and took me into his arms. Wife, let's have a wedding, okay? Let everyone know that we will never have a wedding in the future. Looking at his excitement, I smiled and nodded, okay, whatever you say. We discussed the appearance of the wedding. No one noticed that Ethan's steps were shaky. It seemed that every word we said caused him great harm. Of course, even if I saw it, I wouldn't care. With Lucian accompanying me, I didn't plan to change hotels. We entered the room together, closed the door, and lit a lamp among the thousands of lights. Outside the hotel, Ethan completely merged with the night. Ethan really kept his word and never bothered me again. On the day of my wedding with Lucian, I received a strange gift. Inside was a string of beautiful beads, no signature, only a few words, Sister, I haven't touched it, it's clean. This was the last time I heard from Ethan. It is said that he went to India to practice asceticism to express his regret. No one knows what happened to him later, or perhaps he was repenting for his impulsiveness in his youth.